If you are a person who is equally committed to your professional career and your spiritual calling, is it even reasonable to expect that you can avoid burnout? Well, the answer is yes. The key is learning to create an integrated life. Hey everybody, it's Coach Arnold. Today I want to address one of the central challenges of being a bivocational leader. How do you balance your life when you have high levels of responsibilities in two completely separate areas? An integrated life helps you to avoid burnout. Burnout is something that we have all heard about, and for many of us, it's something that we felt. It can feel like this incredibly insurmountable wall, something that's so big that we start to believe that there's no way around it. But what if I told you that burnout is not just a reality, it's also a perception? I started my career in technical training, but then I moved to a sales role. The primary reason was that I wanted to make more money. Well, after a few years and doing okay, I decided that I wanted to transition away from sales and go back to technical training. Even though I enjoyed the money that I made from my sales role, I felt average as a salesperson. So I decided to go back into training where I was exceptional. So to facilitate my move back, I decided that I would go to graduate school so that I could make myself open to newer and greater responsibilities once I transitioned back into training. I found a great program that was at a large public school that was about 40 minutes away, and they were offering classes in the evening between 6 and 9. So it was great. There was only one problem. I had 2 full-time jobs at the time. Along with my inside sales role that I did from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., I'd also started working a job at night where I worked from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. So when graduate school started, here was my schedule. My day started at night when I would go into my nighttime role from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Once I finished that would give me about an hour to get to my inside sales role that I worked from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Once I finished there, I would drive 40 minutes to get to school where I went to class from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Mondays and Wednesdays. So that was my schedule. Now, during this entire time, I did not burn out. I didn't burn out because of the way I viewed my work. The point of the story is that burnout can be avoided based on the way that you look at what you're going through. See, burnout is not just a reality. It's also a perception. Think about it. 2 people can be in similar circumstances, have the same hours, the same demands, the same challenges. One burns out while the other thrives. The difference isn't what they're doing. It's also in their perspective on the situation. More specifically, it's who they are being in that situation. And that is what I want to focus on today. See, burnout isn't simply a result of doing too much. It's often the result of being out of alignment with who you are and who you are meant to be. So instead of asking, what should I do to fix this? I want you to ask a different question. Who am I being that is leading me to this experience? I want to start by examining this idea of living an integrated life by looking at it conceptually first. Then I want to give you a couple of practical examples. So conceptually, why is answering the question, who am I being in this situation, relevant to living an integrated life? It's because as a bivocational leader, you're not just managing a career, you're stewarding a calling. Your career and your calling aren't separate. They're not competing forces. As a bivocational leader, your roles are meant to complement each other. Too often, we fall into the trap of seeing our professional career and our spiritual calling to be at odds. We think, if I focus too much on my career, I might be neglecting my spiritual mission. But if I give all of my attention to my spiritual service, then my career will suffer. Does that sound familiar? This kind of thinking creates a tug of war. You feel like you're being pulled in 2 different directions. It's absolutely exhausting. It's like driving a car with one foot on the brake and the other foot on the gas. Eventually, if you do that, you're going to burn out. But when your calling and your career actually work together, Your work becomes more than just a job. It becomes an extension of your faith. And your faith, it starts to fuel your work. All of a sudden, you're not choosing one over the other. You have a way to accelerate both. So how do we do that? How do we shift from a place of competition to a place of alignment? We're still talking conceptually here, so let me give you a conceptual framework on how to view burnout. The framework is being, doing, and having. See, your being determines what you do, and your doing determines the results that you have. Most of us, when we see that we are on a path headed towards burnout, we immediately want to focus on the doing. We think maybe if I could just tweak my schedule or delegate more and those kinds of things. Those kinds of things are useful, but your focus is still in the wrong place. It's because those things are focusing on a result and not the cause. The secret to integrating your life is to focus on the being. Allow me to break this down a little bit further. So being, this is your identity, your core, your values, your sense of purpose. This is who you are at your core. Now let's talk about doing. Once you are clear on who you are supposed to be, your actions naturally follow. If you see yourself as someone who is living out their calling in every area of their life, then the way you show up will reflect that. You'll set boundaries out of love. You will prioritize out of clarity. And your doing becomes authentic because it's an authentic expression of your being. Finally, there is having. When your being and your doing are aligned, you'll start to have the results that you want. Who you are drives what you do. And what you do determines what you have. If you want to have a different result, like more balance, less stress, and greater fulfillment, you have to start with your being. So let me pause for a minute and ask you this question. Who are you committed to being in this season of your life? Now let's talk about practical strategies to change your perception of burnout. First, identify if you have a CCP, a competing calling philosophy. Since your work life and your professional calling may be in two completely different areas, sometimes you subconsciously think that they are in competition, but they're not in competition. Burnout is as much about perception as it is about reality. Determining if you have a CCP can help you judge where your perception around burnout comes from. The next practical step, create integrated disciplines. Take some time to reflect on how your career and your calling intersect. Ask yourself, how does my work serve my spiritual mission? And how does my spiritual mission inform the way I approach my work? Think deeply on both of your roles. What are the disciplines that help you reinforce the idea that you have an integrated calling? What are you doing every day that serves both your career and your calling? Focus on these disciplines. These are the anchors that will keep you from drifting into burnout. The next thing, define your impact. Your bivocational impact statement helps you define whether or not you're making any progress towards your spiritual calling. This is a crucial component to address burnout. If you can't judge your progress, you invite frustration and burnout. You define your impact based on who it is that you want to reach, the purpose of your impact, and what it will mean to you when you finally achieve it. If you need some additional support on this, please take my Impact Blueprint course that you can find at coacharnoldmurray.com. All right, here's the next practical step. Embrace the rhythms of your responsibilities. Now, this tip is really targeted towards your professional life. To avoid burnout, lean into the breaks that come naturally in your work so that you can focus on your perception. There are natural rhythms in your work. If you work in Agile, then the user stories that you create during your sprints are natural rhythms to help you focus your mind and your attention. If your work is more project-based, then the months represent time periods where you can direct your life. And if you are in sales, for example, then obviously the quarter is driving your focus. Lean into these natural times and rhythms to help make decisions about when to focus and when to rest. And then lastly, connect with like-minded leaders. You don't have to do this alone. Surround yourself with people who understand the unique challenges of being a bivocational leader. Share your struggles, celebrate your wins, and remind each other of the bigger picture. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with this thought. Burnout is not a mandate that you have to embrace as a bivocational leader. When you focus on living an integrated life, you reduce the opportunity for burnout to become the focus of your perception. When you do this, you'll be able to make better decisions on how to align your life. You'll find that balance isn't something that you achieve, it's something that you live. So go ahead and live aligned. I'm rooting for you. I'm Coach Arnold. You are a bivocational leader. You are a champion, and I'm your biggest fan. I'll see you next time.